Hey guys, it's Flo here, and welcome to the first episode of what I will hope will be an interesting series, £1 Gaming, a show where I'll be looking at a range of different titles on Steam that are for sale for around £1, give or take 20 or 50p. These games will be from a variety of genres, but I'll be keeping clear of anything explicit in nature, and yes, there are a few, shall we say, interesting games for purchase. And of course, I won't be looking at any free games despite there being heaps out there. I'll be rating each game using the following criteria: gameplay, visuals, sound, story, and overall playability. Each category will be ranked using the classic out of 10 scale, with 10 being the highest and 1 of course being the lowest, giving a total out of 50. Now I want to preface this by saying that this is purely based on my opinion as an avid gamer. You can check out my live streams on Twitch, and as an indie developer myself, albeit at the beginning of my journey, but I have gained some insights into the structure of developing games. Now before I begin, if you're enjoying this video, then please make sure to drop it a like and subscribe to my channel to see more content in the future. So without further ado, let's take a look at the first title. It's a game called Azalea, and it was an absolute diamond. Azalea is a puzzle adventure game set in a gorgeous forbidden forest where you have to overcome obstacles, collect power-ups, and save your family from a famine. It was developed by Rad Codex, aka Sean Hayden, who has developed several titles available for purchase on Steam. Here's the current listing. Now let's look at the first category, gameplay. It uses a simple WASD or arrow keys to move the main character through the world, to avoid enemies, and to collect the important magical flowers. There is a flower in the bottom left that signifies your health, and that's all the UI, until you discover the magic flowers. Very simple, clean, but effective. Moving around is smooth, and the speed compared to enemies is just enough to make it feel like a challenge, but there are still plenty of obstacles that if you aren't fast enough, you will take damage. There is a checkpoint system that links nicely with a death loop and offers the chance to work through some of the harder areas until you find a solution. There is no game over per se, which allows you to learn and appreciate the challenges you may face. I won't go into too much detail about the magic flowers as I don't want to give too much away, but there are very well implemented power-ups that can help in many different ways to solve puzzles and defeat several boss-style enemies. Now these bosses occur towards the end of each themed area: enchanted forest, snow, marsh type, and a few others, and they're a healthy spike in difficulty with their own unique mechanics and method of defeating them. Towards the end of the game, the difficulty definitely scales nicely, and you never feel overpowered, as there isn't any direct combat, but just ways to overcome the variety of enemies in each area, which change and get harder as the game progresses. I give the gameplay a solid 8 out of 10, very smooth and responsive, but sometimes I did find myself stuck on side objects or couldn't quite manoeuvre out of the way of an enemy despite moving input. However, this could just be me sucking a little bit. We touched on the different themed areas, and the visuals of this game certainly set it out as a stunning game for the price. Each area has been created with a simple but effective colour palette that fits its theme and has a variety of elements such as trees, bushes, animals, and more that bring it to life. Some areas feel quite open and free, whereas others are smaller and constrained, that I think only add to the ambience and feel of each zone. The character design is really clean, and you can tell it's a young boy trying to save his family. The enemies are varied and definitely menacing at times, and there is an awesome NPC that you meet whose design fits his role perfectly. The magic flower effects are very well animated and fit the overall aesthetic really nicely. I'm a sucker for this style of design, so I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10. Now to go along with the awesome visuals is a very well composed soundtrack that really immerses you into every area. It can be soft and somewhat Asian themed at times, and at other times very dark and unsettling. The enemies have varied sounds which offer a good audio cue to attacks and other things, and the power-ups have responsive sounds too. I'd go as far to say a few of the areas had some of the best music I've heard in an indie game. There were only a few times, however, when there was no music. I assume this was to build suspense, but seemed a little off when the previous area had a really lovely background piece. However, despite this, I'd give the music a solid 10 out of 10 again, as I simply loved it. The penultimate category is the story, and the story in this game is simple at a glance, but once playing through it, you get hit with a very deep and meaningful tale, albeit a little short, but definitely very sweet. I won't give anything away, but in the end cutscene I was feeling very emotional, and given that it took me roughly an hour and a half to complete, this was simply amazing. With that being said, I did feel a little lost at times, and it took me a moment or two to piece together the story as well, so some more exploration into the lore might add a little more to the experience. However, I appreciate the devs' less is more approach to storytelling here. I'm giving the story a heartfelt 9 out of 10. Nearly a 10, but but only because I wanted more. Speaking of more, the overall playability of this game left me wanting more, and I mean that in a good way. Very smooth, challenging, and a beautiful environment with a compelling story, all rolled up into an hour and a half of quality gaming. I'm excited to see where this game goes, possibly a sequel or some add-on content in the future. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It is on the short side, and for the price this is totally understandable, but much like the story, I wish there was more of it. Overall, I give Azalea a 47 out of 50. An incredible game for 94p, and one that I will surely play again. A few achievements I'm missing, and I'd love to see a sequel or more content added to this beautiful story. So that was the first game, Azalea. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I highly recommend picking up this game. It's only recently been released and is 10% off on Steam store until the 16th of November, an absolute bargain. I'd also recommend checking out Rad Codex on Twitter and the developer Sean Hayden as well. I will definitely be looking at some of his other titles and keeping an eye on this one. Now remember to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel, as well as leave a comment if you like, and I hope to bring another episode soon. And if you want to catch my live streams, then follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/flowthedev. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy your day.